to turn on the recording, share my screen. And are my captions working? Yes. Okay. So I'm gonna wait right till 1 o'clock. All right, it's 1 right on the dot. So let's get started since we don't have a lot of time, although I like this. I like the short, fast-paced sessions. It makes me be more concise and share what I think is really important. To start off with, my name is Sarah Gregory. I'm a speech pathologist and an assistive technology consultant in the Ithaca City School District in Central New York. So this session today is going to be on AAC Teletherapy and some of the things that I've done to make it a little bit more manageable for myself. So this teletherapy stuff is new for me, just like it is for everybody else, most of everybody else. So probably everything I'm going to share today is things that I've learned since the beginning of March. So I'm going to sort of share some tips on making it manageable, and then I'll also share some therapy resources and things you can do in teletherapy. I put into the chat a link to the slides, so you have that, and I also put the shared Google Doc for the AT Fair. So I started it out by putting in a couple of the links to my resources that I'm going to share. If there's anything else that you have, it would be awesome. I love these crowdsourced documents. Pretty much what I'm sharing is like the extent of everything I know about teletherapy material. So it would be awesome, especially at this point in the year, to get a couple new things as we wind down. So links, I covered that. The slides are at this bit.ly link, Gregory and Hat. So I also want to say really quickly, I'm not super familiar with Zoom, so I don't know if I'm going to be able to manage the chat, but I did put my social media links up there. So please reach out to me if you have questions or if there's something that wasn't covered. I'm really happy to answer questions that way. And if there's time at the end, I'll definitely look in the chat, but as is going to be one of my tips, it's a lot to juggle with like learning new tech and sharing this, so I might not get to the chat. So like I said, I really feel like we are building the plane while we're flying. I'm just trying to sort of like keep my head above water by learning some small tip each week. I did share this very similar presentation last night for a webinar for PRC Saltillo. So if you want to see a more extended version of this, that'll be on YouTube. That's also really quick to say that a lot of their products are featured in here. Because I tried to change some of them out, but I didn't have a ton of time because I want to give examples that can be applied to really anybody out there. So what I'm going to share is not specific to any conferencing platform. I use Google Meet for my teletherapy. And so that's where my comfort zone is. Pretty much if you can do it in Google Meet, you can do it on anything. You can do it in Zoom. So I'm not going to talk about remote screen control and things that are only specific to certain products. And I also, none of this is really good. There's going to be specific examples for certain systems, but the tips should be able to be used across multiple AAC systems. So we're going to look at how to make teletherapy engaging for our kids, but also manageable for us. I can tell like how I feel in this presentation, not great already just because I'm not comfortable on the platform. So if it's something that's overwhelming for us, it's probably going to be overwhelming for our kids. So I'm going to talk a bit about, like, we can all picture that like perfect AAC teletherapy session that you see on Instagram where somebody has like a green screen background and they're mirroring their iPad and they have a boom card. And in my mind, I was like, that's what, okay, so this is what I have to do. How am I going to learn all of this stuff? But that is totally not what you have to do. And that doesn't necessarily, I mean, that is great, good therapy. If that engages students, then awesome for the people that can navigate that. But for me, if I find I have so many balls in the air that I'm trying to juggle, like trying to model while I'm doing an interactive activity, it's too much and I lose the engagement with my student. So I think that just giving ourselves permission to pull back a little bit and just do one thing at a time. Do the things that you feel comfortable with. If you're not comfortable on boom cards, then just don't open up that website. There's plenty of other things to do. So keeping it simple and manageable for us is going to be good for our mental health. And it's also, I have found, it opens up room to have that engagement with our students. So one thing that I think is a really big silver lining of this time of distance learning is the ability to have increased coaching and support with families. So I'm also throughout this presentation going to share some different links for people's social medias of things that I have found to be really useful. The AAC coach, I absolutely love the graphics that she is making, and I'm sharing these home all the time. Because I had kind of put that note in the other slide of not putting all of your eggs in that one teletherapy basket. So when I first was starting out in teletherapy, I felt like these 30 minutes, I have to be providing all this modeling. I have to target all of these words and everything. My whole week is, you know, just lies in this 30 minutes. But no, it's not like that. It shouldn't be like that. How can we be creative with how we're supporting families at home? And what I love about the AAC coach is it's things that are built into routine. So you can see this is ideas for modeling in your morning routine. Everybody has to get up and do a morning routine, right? So I was really struggling with this at first, feeling like they were getting work from the classroom and then I'm giving them these speech activities that they have to do, where if we can pull back on that and sort of embed our objectives into what's already happening at home, I think that's going to make it more manageable for families. And I'm really challenging myself to think about how I can continue doing this even when we are back to face-to-face school. So like I mentioned, kind of going easy on yourself. I think a good tip is to pick one piece of tech to do at a time. So this example is the activity Dear Zoo. So I might just read the physical book Dear Zoo so that I'm not sharing multiple windows. Then I'll provide my modeling on this dynamic display system. So I have just one piece of tech and I'm reading my book. Then if I go to do an interactive activity like a Dear Zoo boom card, I'm not also going to try to model. I will either ask a support person at home, can you model open, or pick one target word, show them at the beginning when you're reading the book, open, that's going to be our target, and then that can be managed on their side. Because I also feel like if you have so many things going on, the student also has their AAC system in front of them. That is a lot to shift your attention to. So another quick tip would be just to hold up a static printed out board and to be pointing. Of course that's not perfect, but especially if you hide some buttons, that might not be enough for your student. That's not really going to give them the aided language stimulation they need, but it could be enough for their support person to get the prompt of where to go. So I just kind of want to point out that I'm going to use the terms aided language stimulation and modeling interchangeably for this session, because when you pull up a system, it's going to be the same for either way. So aided language stimulation or input is combining your verbal language with the AAC system, where modeling kind of the same, but it's more on the prompt hierarchy. You're showing a button that you then want them to repeat. So two types of ways we can model is dynamic, so you're seeing the buttons change, or static, which is something that's just printed out. I really like the static option because it's easier for me to manage, and I think that it still is really effective. So some static options would be screenshot the device. If you're going to be talking about animals, open up the animal page and screenshot that. Specifically for Lamp Words for Life, I believe these are free from the AAC Language Lab. The link is right there, and it just sort of shows the 2-button sequence to get to different words. There's these sheets for 100 words, so that's great. If you also have a student on a PRC system, you can download New Voice Pass only on a PC and write with icons, and that's how I got that play there. You can do this also on Chat Editor, where you use the capture feature and then you touch the buttons. And of course, if you have another system like you have Proloquo, I'll just take a screenshot and zoom in like that. Or a lot of times I'll just use the core board because then you're not managing like all those screenshots and sharing the pictures and stuff. Dynamic display options. I tried to put a bunch of as many systems as I could think of quickly up here. So I already mentioned the PRC Saltillo. SnapCore first, you can download on Windows. So I have that on my computer. It doesn't have voice output, which I think is okay because I'm right here, I'm pushing the buttons and I'm just voicing it. Cough Drop also is available on Windows or a web browser. And then you can mirror your iPad. My two favorite options for mirroring are Lonely Screen is my favorite free version because a lot of them stop after 30 days. This one will continue to be free with just a periodic pop-up. And then Reflector 3 is one that I've seen people recommend a lot if you want to do something that's paid. So now this is kind of what I was talking about, that this is what overwhelms me of having an activity. Have this YouTube video, I have my modeling, and then I'm also trying to gauge my students' engagement. This overwhelms me, but I do think there's a time and a place for it. So if I'm going to be trying to juggle both of those things, I'll do this as a pre-recorded asynchronous video. And I have a YouTube video. I forgot to mention that too, that I have a bunch of things on YouTube. So if you see that YouTube icon, that means that whatever I'm sharing on the screen, there are more details in my YouTube. So I'll try not to spend too much time on those nitty-gritties. So now we're going to go into a few of my favorite things for AAC Teletherapy. So I was listening to Mike Murata the other day, and I got this advice of, instead of, we don't want to do an overwhelm of so many tools. Let's look at some tools that are so powerful that we can just choose one and do a lot within that. So I am focusing today on Google Slides, which if you're not a Google person, you can do the same thing in PowerPoint. But I'm just showing it in slides because that's what I use. That's my comfort zone. So this is really simple. I made this, so it's going to be free. I got this idea from Kim Rankin, who has a Facebook page, Hold My Words. Her son is an AAC user. She shares awesome things. So I made this activity with the Giphy Chrome extension. And if you click download activity, you can download, it'll force a copy, so then it's yours. You can change out the symbols, you can change out the GIFs, you can do whatever you want, share it with your friends. That is for you. So this is pretty simple. Cute little GIF working on stop, and then I used the write with icons to just put stop, where you can see that you could just do this for any system. Do the icon sequence, whether you're in Cough Drop, just kind of take screenshots of what your one word is. I really liked this because, as important as parent coaching is, sometimes for me, I feel a little uncomfortable being like telling parents or the caregivers to say, okay, and now you need to do this. Where yesterday I did this activity with one of my preschool students, and his mom just naturally said, oh, you can say stop, or we can also say it on your talker, because look, here are the buttons. And it just lent itself to be a natural way for her to jump in and model, which I thought was perfect, because then we were kind of focusing more on students' language. So here's another example of the GIFs, which are just, this was a hit with my preschoolers this week, and it's pretty fun. And you can see this is, I just put it into a Google slide, and I have in my YouTube video on Chrome extensions how to do this. So you just insert it into your slides, insert your icons, and there you go. Another really cool thing that you can do in Google Slides is make a choice board. So, hey, Ashley G on Instagram, she does tech tips, really quick tech tips. She also does them on TikTok. So I love that. That's my pace of just fast, tell me exactly what I need to know and none of the extra stuff. So she made this choice board. She made these tie-dye backgrounds. She showed me how to do these fonts and cool stuff. So within your Google slide, you can link to an external, like to a YouTube site, or you can link to another slide, which I just found out. So what that looks like is you could ask your student, what music video do you want to do? I kind of chose some pop music for my older students. And so you can, gotta move my videos. It'll just link to a video. So this is kind of a silly video that would elicit some language from your students. Hopefully when it's finished, we have just the icon from their system. We click it and it links to modeling. You like it. So this is just embedded in my Google Slides. So I am not within my session plugging in my iPad, mirroring my iPad, modeling. This is just built in. So also this is something that can be sent home and the student can just do it and get some of that aided language stimulation. Then we would say, okay, do you want to do more music videos? And it'll link right back to your original slide. So, so I think that's fun. Again, this is linked for you in this slide deck and also in that Google Doc. So take it, change out the music videos, whatever you want to do with it is fine. This is also in Google Slides. So this is just a screenshot, but this white part is my slide and the gray part is the area next to the slide, which you can actually paste something in there. So I got this tip from Beth Poss at Lessonpix. I downloaded this board game from Lessonpix into PowerPoint. Since I'm a slides girl, I uploaded it into my slides so that it's right there with my other activities. Then I just added this highlighter button so I can move that around. Of course, now you're not putting your slides in present. You're just having them sort of in edit mode, but it's a cool way to only have to share one window and you're providing your prompting within that window. Lessonpix, I know Beth Poss is doing a webinar as part of this AT fair, so check that out. And they have tons of quick, short, like I like them, tips on how to use their products. Something really similar is you can embed YouTube videos into slides. So I love that because then again, all of my activities are just living in slides. So I'm not, when I was starting Teletherapy at the end of March, I would have a tab open for a book that I wanted to read, for a boom cart, like all of these different tabs, and then I'm shutting them out for my next session. So now I have one slide deck for each student, and I just put a ton of activities in there, and then I kind of shuffle them around. When it's in edit mode, I show my students what the choices are going to be, and they can put the activities in order. So this is just another idea. Embed a YouTube video into your slide. Then you don't have all that distracting stuff on the outside too, that they're going to say like, oh no, I want that video instead. This is just like a cleaner view. And you can see I just pasted in my little board for modeling. I got these from my PRC consultant. I don't know if those are online, but of course you can get the ones from the Language Lab if you're using LAMP. And I like this because for this canopy walk, I just played it and then I would stop. And there's just sort of that prompt for either the student to do, or it very easily cues the support person that they're just supposed to model go. So also YouTube video, more on using interactive slides. Wordless shorts I really like. I think that elicits a lot of language from our students. And so same tip, just embed it within your Google Slides. So you can see this is like a whole teletherapy session that's being planned out that is free and within slides. Lauren Enders, I have a link. Oh, I don't think I linked it. I'm going to put it in the Google Doc because it's really awesome. She has made this chart of tons of wordless videos so you don't have to search for them. She's an AAC SLP, so you know they're going to be good for our population. So that's another quick tip. Okay, this is my one thing that is not in Google Slides. It's in PowerPoint. So, and this is also the only paid thing that I have recommended. I almost took this one out just to stick with my theme of free and slides, but I really like these games and I'll show you how I'm using them for AAC modeling. So Brooke Dibley at Simply Speaking SLT, she has this Teachers Pay Teachers store where she kind of recreates games that we were using in person. My direct caseload is preschool, so these games we really were using a lot. So it's fun to be able to say to my kids, like, remember our pirate game? We're gonna play that again on the computer. And it's kind of my theme here of not pulling up tons of things and having tons of balls in the air. I like it when we can embed our modeling or our prompts right within our activity, which I'm going to show you. So you click on the sword there, and then you would say to the kid, like, pick a sword. Do you want a yellow or red? And you click one, and then it will reveal a picture underneath. I just inserted pictures from the system that I was, for my student, which was Lamp Words for Life that I wanted to use with yesterday, you could put in the pictures for any system that you want. And now it's right within the activity. Of course, I know this doesn't show you the motor plan or anything like that, but something I like about this is I kind of am using it more open-ended. So like when the dog comes up, I'm not saying, say dog or say the verb come. I'm saying like, oh, can you find a word that's in that button? Do you want to tell me about your favorite animal? I know animals are under there. For the hammer, like we target work and break a lot under that button. So they might come to one of those words or maybe something different. So that's another thing I kind of like about this, where if I'm modeling an exact word for a student, yes, that's valuable, important. There's a time and a place for that. But when I do it like this, it kind of leaves it more open-ended, where I don't have a specific target that they have to say. It's just kind of prompting them to say something on their system. I'll respond to what they say. Because also it would sort of be out of context if I was saying like, okay, now you got the arrow, say away. So it's just sort of a way to practice some different vocabulary and give them those prompts, or give the prompt for the family. And as you can see in the game, then you would put a sword in, and one of the swords makes him pop up and he's like all animated. So I really like those. Now, we're starting to wrap up here. Why I'm really talking about doing this in slides, or if you're a PowerPoint person, put this in PowerPoint, is that everything's just organized in one place. I'm also doing things that are not necessarily within slides. So like Epic, I'm using a lot of books from there. So I will just pick the book that I want to use in that teletherapy session. I have made this a hyperlink. I'll do a screenshot of the book and just paste it in there so that I can use this like a choice board for my student, or to show them a schedule. First, we're going to read the dot. And instead of having to remember that next week and pull it up, I just click the hyperlink and it opens up to the book. Then this choice board just lives within slides. I'm good. My YouTube videos, my virtual adventure right within slides. This is something that I got from Lessonpix. It's really easy to download the PowerPoints. You can keep them in PowerPoint, or you can upload it into slides. And then this is one of those interactive games that I just showed you, like the Pirate Pop. This one is Caribou, and you can kind of see, hopefully, that I put in just icons for the system that I wanted for that specific student. So I just put a screenshot so that this acts as a schedule. It can act as a choice board. And even just for me, that next week on Wednesday, I can remember, oh yeah, we were gonna do the Caribou game because we did the pirate game today. Another thing I really like about this is for carryover. So when we're talking about carryover and generalization for our students at home, I don't want to have to plan teletherapy and then on top of that plan, oh, what can they do at home? I will just take this slide deck, make a copy of it, and then I might take out some things or maybe add some different things, I don't know, and just sort of arrange it for maybe 3 or 4 activities that I think that would be good to do at home, and then I send it home to the family. So it's really no extra work. It's that carryover is already like bundled right there. And then also, if I have a student who cancels a session, then we don't have to be a week behind the next time I see you. I will just send them and say, these were the activities we were gonna do, and then maybe they have some extra exposure to it before we get together. So, finished, we made it so quick. So here is where you can find me. This is my email address. Please feel free to email me. These icons all link to like my YouTube channel. On Instagram, I am sharing similar tech things as what I share on YouTube, but just in those smaller, more like bite-sized pieces if that's more your speed. On Twitter, feel free to message me on any of these platforms, because every time somebody asks me a question, especially if I don't know the answer, I'll figure it out and then I learn something new. So a lot of the things I share on YouTube are because somebody else asked me a question, or by now, hopefully I do know the answers to some of these things. So please feel free to reach out, because I don't even know where to find the chat. I'm gonna stop my screen share. Oh, there's the chat. Yes, if you have a question, pop on and ask, because I can't navigate this. Rhoda.
Thank you so much, Sarah. Very informative.
Oh, good.
Yes, I'm an SLPA in New Hampshire at Spalding Youth Center.
Okay.
And this makes it so much easier. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I wanted to really say, I don't know if this came across at the beginning, but like, give yourself permission to not do everything. I didn't open boom cards until last week because I couldn't handle it. Every time I looked at it, I was like, I can't learn a new thing.
Right.
I've never turned my phone into a doc cam. I know everybody's doing that, and that's just one thing that I'm like, I don't have to learn that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So just doing one thing at a time. Once you're comfortable with one thing that you're doing, then add a new thing. Don't feel like, we have to be doing everything that we see in this sort of like idealized AAC teletherapy session.
Mm-hmm. Thank you so much. You have a great rest of your day.
Okay, thank you everyone for coming. I am going to stop the recording.
Mm-hmm.